It's time now for County-Wide, a presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. You'll hear about the interesting issues and happenings that affect all our lives. Here's today's County-Wide.
Welcome to the program. It is County-Wide. I'm Brad Miller, and we're happy to welcome into the studio today a couple of guests from the Humane Society of Sedona. Sara Porter is Director of Operations. Antonio Lopez is the Animal Care Supervisor, and we say good day to the two of you. I'm glad you could come in and chat with us today.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. We're happy to be here.
I called you up, Sara, last week, and we chatted a little bit. We kind of did a really good show on the phone, just getting ready for the program. But this was driven by a number of law enforcement agencies and others in the community have really been seeing kind of an uptick, a spike, if you will, in pets, I guess, being dumped. Prescott Valley had a very sad story. I think 13 puppies found at several construction sites. And these are going to be stories that the two of you will know all too well. And I didn't know if there's kind of a post-holiday pattern to this or whatever it is, but I just thought, well, it's been a while since we've talked with Humane Society of Sedona, so it's time to come and do that. But first, that question, I guess, have you seen any kind of an uptick or anything seem unusual about pets being given up or abandoned?
Yes, we have seen like a number of questionable strays.
Yeah. Like
animals that appear to have been dumped, or maybe it's the owner actually bringing them in and calling them a stray. We've certainly seen that. We've also seen a huge uptick in the number of owner surrender requests. We used to get, one or two a week, and now we get like 3 to 5 a day.
Yeah.
So it's a huge increase.
Okay. Is there any kind of a pattern you can see to it? Just post-holiday, people moving, or who knows?
Most of our strays, it's kind of throughout the year, actually. We just got 2 puppies yesterday that were found off the side of the road, off 179. They were just kind of sitting on the side of the road, not near houses or anything. So very unusual to find dogs out that far. Yeah. So we don't see quite a pattern to it. It's just been more frequent than in the past. Mm-hmm.
If people are, adopt a pet and for whatever reason feel they no longer can take care of it, and I mean, they're dumping dogs. Do they feel, are they embarrassed, ashamed to just bring the dog to you or to another shelter? Or what what does your experience suggest?
I think a lot of it is a lot of shelters kind of nationwide are very full. We're getting requests from as far as Florida and Texas asking us to take animals in.
Oh, wow.
Because they're totally full. And, much like everywhere in the community, we're totally full as well. But we're seeing a lot of people that are calling, trying to surrender, and we have to put them on a waiting list, unfortunately, because we just don't have the space to take an animal in at the time. We've done a number of programs to try and help with that, like courtesy posting, but some of these are like almost emergency surrenders, losing their home or, some big life event happened that they're not able to keep their animal anymore. So, I think that has some play to it, just kind of a last-ditch effort. So, we're seeing more and more as time goes, and a lot of them are time-sensitive. It's not like they can hold on to the animal for time. It's, the next day they have to give them up or something's going to...
Things happen in sad stories. It's not always malicious. Sometimes it is, and those are the saddest stories of the sad. I know everybody struggled during the housing crisis a few years ago when so many people were walking away from their homes. But let's talk about today. Let's talk about how things are handled. And I want to do, to our audience, we're going to kind of do a couple of segments here. First, I want to talk about the Humane Society, what it takes to adopt a pet from you and those kinds of things. And in our second one, I want to kind of go through a checklist. There's a lot of homework you probably need to do, a lot of study, a lot of preparation before you adopt any kind of a pet. And I want to make sure that folks know that. So we're going to do two parts. We'll do this one today and then again in our next program. But just that, give me some nuts and bolts about Humane Society of Sedona, Sara. Currently, do we have a kind of a roster? Are you what % full with dogs, what % full with cats? Top of your head, do you have an idea?
So typically we keep about 30 to 50 animals at any given time. Okay. So what we try to do is we can probably have capacity for twice that, but it stresses the animals out.
You bet.
Right. So just like having roommates in college, it can be stressful. So we try to give them as much space as possible. And so what we find is that the animals settle in faster.
Sure. And if the pets are scared, it makes them less likely candidate to be adopted.
It's true.
They can't be them true selves.
Yeah, we really focus on de-stressing the animals when they first come in.
Yeah.
We provide lots of bedding. We do soft music. Sometimes we'll do pheromone scents to help with the anxiety or stress. Sometimes we'll use CBD treats, but anytime that we can de-stress the animals, it really helps them become more adoptable.
Yeah.
And volunteers are a huge part of that, socializing them, helping them feel safe and loved, because once they feel safe and loved, they're going to connect with their family.
You were chatting before we opened the mics, and I'd love it if you would share it with our audience about volunteers particularly, but staff members as well, who come in with big hearts and are there to work and to roll up their sleeves and are going to be pet lovers by definition. And they're going to want to take every single pet home. And you've kind of thought about that, and you have kind of a policy in place about that. Tell me about that.
Well, we do. So when someone first comes to work with us or become a volunteer, they cannot adopt in the first 90 days.
Okay.
You know, people that have big hearts, they want to take them all home.
Sure.
But by being there and socializing the animals and giving them that love and that feeling of safety, they put them in a position where they don't need to adopt them. They'll help them find their family.
You're doing your part.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, you know, the myth is, you know, when you're a volunteer, you got to put in hours and hours and hours. But really all we ask is 2 to 3 hours a week. And it makes a huge difference in the life of a shelter animal.
Okay, so for volunteers to come and help, do they need background with working with pets in the past, or what kind of knowledge or skills should they bring?
Well, we provide all that training.
Okay.
And actually, one of the few things good that came out of the pandemic is that we put a lot of our trainings on video. And so as soon as you do your application on the computer and you submit it, you get immediately the volunteer orientation video. You can watch that, and then our volunteer coordinator contacts you, and then we have the dog training or the cat training. And then after you complete those, we have you work in the shelter side by side with an experienced volunteer or staff member.
Okay.
And then after that, you can schedule whenever you're available.
Okay. Can I, if I prefer, maybe I prefer working with cats rather than dogs, can we find a way for me that way too? Or is that trickier?
Absolutely. Okay. And actually prefer if volunteers choose either cats or dogs to begin with and learn that whole program and the way we socialize them and de-stress them. And then if you want to work with the other, then you can. But we ask that you fully learn the first program first before you move on to the second.
Makes sense, yeah. We think typically of most shelters, including Sedona, dogs and cats primarily are what you handle. But are there, exotics or rabbits or hamsters or other?
Occasionally, we'll get some exotics in. We've had a couple of ferrets. A few years back, we had a stray ferret one time.
He just knocked on the door.
He just came up to somebody walking their dogs. They brought him to Game and Fish, and that's a ferret. That's not a wild animal. Take him to the Humane Society. So we took him there. We've had a stray tortoise one time. So we get exotics from time to time, but that's not too much what we deal with.
Sure.
Guinea pigs and rabbits occasionally, a couple times a year, but not too frequently.
Right. When especially dogs come to you, is that going to be through the dog catcher? Animal control, I think, is the proper word. But
a lot of our dogs that come into us, we don't have a huge population of animals coming in through animal control in Sedona area. Most of the strays that come in are individuals that have found them. A lot of them are found on hiking trails.
Okay.
We have a lot of trails in the area, so they're out hiking and the dog runs up. They're asking everybody on the trail, "Is this your dog?" Turns out it's not, so they bring it by to us. But most of our dogs do come in through either owner surrender or stray from the community. Very few times do we get it through animal control. Because most of the time they're out on the trails, left out there or found out there.
And in every case, I would assume you're going to look for the chip.
Yes.
Start there.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately,
the first step we get a stray in, the first thing we do is we do a general health check, just kind of look them over, make sure they don't have any injuries or anything that needs to be addressed immediately. Check for a microchip. If there's a microchip, fantastic. We can track it back to the owner and get a hold of them, because most times somebody's looking for their owner if they have them chipped. And then we have a stray hold process. It's 3 days for an animal without a collar or tag or microchip. and then 5 days if they have a collar and a tag and a microchip. So we hold them for that period of time while we post them online, look for the owner, and just kind of reach out to the community and see if anybody's missing their pet.
Sure. Common sense efforts. All right. We need to take a short break, so let's do that. It is countywide. Humane Society of Sedona. They do terrific work and have for decades. Sara Porter is here. Antonio Lopez, our guest. We'll break. We'll be back to countywide right after this.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Service for over 25 years and continues to serve the communities in northern Arizona. Jackson Hewitt is here to help you file your personal taxes. As laws and situations change, your local Jackson Hewitt Tax Service professional stays updated to serve you. Drop off or make an in-person appointment. In Flagstaff, call 213-8626. That's 213-8626. That's 213-8626.
The award-winning experts at Verde Solar Services offer the trusted Carrier products that help you customize a solution to fit your budget. Verde Solar is a family-owned business serving the Verde Valley for 38 years with the Carrier products you can rely on. Carrier AC systems are trusted to bring energy-efficient, quiet, consistent comfort. Call 928-567-5315 for a free assessment of your AC and air quality needs. Verde Solar Services, online at verdesolar.com, a factory-authorized Carrier dealer.
Don't let concerns about today's events derail your long-term financial strategy. Hi, I'm Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Matthias Sandoval, and I'm here to help. We can work together to understand the impact of these events and make sure your goals are top of mind. While you can't control the market volatility, we'll focus on what you can control. We can connect in several virtual ways. Start by giving me a call at 634-1044.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Welcome back to the program. It is Countywide. I'm Brad Miller, and our guest today, Antonio Lopez, Sara Porter, Humane Society of Sedona. And we're doing a kind of a two-parter in our next show. We'll talk more specifically about pets, how you make the selection, how you're matched or a good fit or maybe not as good a fit for a certain dog or type of dog or kitty. So we'll get more deeply into that. But again, kind of talking more generically and about how the shelter works, and I'm sure a lot of the kinds of rules and methodologies at Humane Society of Sedona is common to other shelters as well across northern Arizona. Foster programs, are those still,
Yeah, so we have a wonderful foster program. And so what we ask of our fosters is they just go through orientation, and as our fosters, we provide any support or supplies that they would need. All they need to provide is a loving home for the animal.
Okay. And for what period of time? Is that indeterminate?
So it varies. Like, for example, if it's a puppy, depending on the age of the puppy, we want the puppies to be about 8 weeks old before we spay them. So if we have, like, for example, a dog that came in that was pregnant, we need to ask them for at least 10 weeks because the time for her to give birth and then the time for the puppies to get big. Okay. Or if we're having an animal that's stressed out in the shelter, that's completely undetermined. It just depends on how well they settle in the home. So.
Sure, pets are as individual as humans, so why would it kind of be treated any differently? The advantages to fostering are what, I guess, simply alleviating the burden on the shelter at any given time, obviously, but some other things, I guess, helping the pets acclimate to a new environment.
Absolutely. So as wonderful as our shelter is, it's still not a home. Yeah. So animals, when they get into a home, we see completely different behaviors. A lot of times they de-stress quicker and settle down. So we use that for animals that maybe are more fearful, or if we have animals that have medical conditions and just need, more attention and more of a home environment to help settle. Because when we're stressed out, it's the same thing with animals. We're not going to heal as quick.
Right.
And it's the same thing for them. So if we can de-stress them, then they're more likely to heal quicker. So we use fosters for that. And then, of course, if we get young animals.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Can I, if I'm looking to adopt, say, just for example, I already have another dog in my home, we'd like to get the dog a friend. Can I introduce the two of them before I bring the new dog home and do the adoption, or how does that work?
Yeah, we do dog-to-dog meet and greets at the shelter. Most often We, let you know if you have your eye on a specific dog. If we know that they do well with other dogs, we've been doing a lot more dog testing than we did in the past, seeing how they do with other dogs, different sizes, I noticed genders and everything.
Looking at the website, I noticed that some had a fairly detailed history and others don't, and that seems obvious. If the dog was surrendered by, say, an elderly person who couldn't care for it, you'll have a pretty good idea of the dog's personality, whereas newer ones, who's going to know?
Yeah, that's one of the things. We get a history from the surrenderer, and the other benefit is with foster homes, too. We can get a history from a foster home, how they're doing in the home versus how they were in the shelter, because like Sarah said, we see a totally different dog sometimes. Right. Sometimes they're totally stressed out there, but they're total couch potato love bug in the home and not as fearful. So we see kind of different personalities. So we've been doing more and more trying to get dogs out, testing with them and making sure they do good with other dogs. If they don't, we can let you know right away without having you bring your dog down and finding out, they're not that great with them.
Yeah, makes sense. Cats. Some people are going to have cats in the home, bring in a dog, and that can have serious, even deadly consequences if we have the wrong kind of match. How do we kind of try to prevent that, or what advice do you?
Yeah, so we don't do cat-to-dog testing at the shelter because it's very stressful on the cats. It might be fun for the dogs, but it's not fun for the cats. So one of the things we don't do there, we don't want to stress out the animals we have in our care. Fortunately, with our area, though, we have a lot of rabbits and quails and stuff. So if we're walking a dog and they're trying to chase after those rabbits and quails, we kind of know in a home they're going to chase after a kitty. Sometimes we don't know one way or the other, so we provide guidance for people taking them home on how to do it safely and appropriately. We never recommend taking your dog into a home, a new pet, and you have cats and just letting them off the leash and seeing what happens. Like you said, that could have serious consequences for all parties involved. So we provide guidance on how to do it appropriately and step by step, and more oftentimes than not, it works out just fine. Sometimes they find out it's not going to be a good fit, and we always take our animals back. So if it's not a good fit once they get into the home, hey, they're chasing the cats, we're going to take them back, and that gives us information to put on their profile. Chase the cats in the home. So now we know.
Is that that time frame 10 days or indeterminate?
So we offer like a 30-day period where if you adopt and bring them back, that you would get your adoption fee back. I think it's minus 15.
Yes, 15.
Minus $15, but you would get your adoption fee back, and we just ask that you fill out a form, just basically how they acted in the home and what they did. If it's minor behaviors, we'll offer support and try and help them acclimate. If it's just not working out, totally understandable. It gives us information, and it gets the dog out for a little bit. They had a little overnight field trip or a couple nights out. So we look at it as that way. We don't look at it as a failure and that people can't adopt after they return an animal. It just wasn't a good fit for them.
Yeah, and in our next segment, I'm going to have you kind of go real specifically about that. Not every dog, say, is going to be the right match. Sarah, again, if you would talk to me here again a little bit about, we chatted before we opened the microphones. When I do come and adopt a pet, there's been a lot of care already given to that pet, spay and neuter and things like that. They're kind of ready to go in a large way.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we do when animals first come in is we do a health check and we do a behavior evaluation. Then we do spay and neuter, we do microchipping, we do all their vaccinations, we have a socializing program. We have several vets that we work with in the area. So after they're adopted, there's that first vet visit is covered, and then also we're partnered with our local PetSmart. So PetSmart gives them a coupon book full of things, and one of them is like dog food and big discounts off of other supplies. So there's a lot that comes with the animals.
Okay, and before I even call your number or look at your website, I should probably do at least a little, especially if I'm a first-time pet owner. I should probably do just some, grazing on the internet, shouldn't I, to get some idea, talk to friends who are pet owners, things like that.
Absolutely.
Common sense kind of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of it, we recommend people kind of think about their lifestyle and, what's going to be a good animal for them, be it cat or dog. And then once you decide on that, making sure that you can cover, monthly food cost. How much are they going to eat? What size dog are you looking for? That's something that a lot of people don't really kind of think about. Price of dog food, vet care, always having a little bit of savings because things come up. We take care of a lot of the vet stuff, but maybe they get stung by a bee or something. You're going to have to take them in and get them taken care of. So there's some vet care involved and, talking to your local vets or finding a vet that's going to work for you and talking to them about what their cost is for checkups and those sort of things. Those are things we recommend to people before adopting a pet.
Adoption is not something to be taken lightly. This is a thing you're going to do with a living thing. for a dozen or 15 or 20, who knows how many years. We need to take another short break. When we come back, we'll kind of wrap up. And Sarah, I'm going to have you talk a little bit to folks who may be listening who do have resources or volunteer time to come and kind of help out. I know you can always use help. Humane Society of Sedona. Our guest today, Sara Porter, Antonio Lopez. We'll be back to Countywide right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley for 38 years, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust, designed, engineered, and built in the USA. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates on systems that are quiet and affordable. Verde Solaire is locally owned since 1983 and available for all your heating, air conditioning, and plumbing needs. Call 928-567-5315. Visit them online at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Taxes, taxes, taxes.
It's that time again. This is Lewis with Rice Accounting Jackson Hewitt Tax Service. We don't sell cars, we don't do hair or wait tables. We do taxes. At Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, we talk taxes and we prepare taxes. Open year-round for tax filings. Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, located throughout northern Arizona. For over 20 years, our local preparers have helped neighbors pay their fair share and no more.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service in the Tri-Cities at 772-7872. That's 772-7872.
Welcome back. Our final short segment on this show. We're going to do another with our same two guests because there's a lot of things to talk about, and we'll focus a little bit more specifically about adopting. What kind of pet might be right for you? Just as importantly, what kind of pet might be wrong for you and your family? And it's almost certainly an art, almost a science, as we talk with Antonio Lopez about that. But Sarah, tell me, senior animals can be more difficult to adopt out.
It's very true. So one of the programs that we have started is that every animal that comes in that is 7 years or older, which is considered senior, we do a full geriatric workup for them and with blood work so that the new adopters know everything that's going on, because that's a fear if you've had an older animal that you're going to adopt an animal that has a very expensive medical condition. We have a very transparent adoption process, and anything that we know that's going on with an animal, we make the adopter aware. So.
Sure. Yeah, full disclosure.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things that helps, keep our adoption return numbers very low. So.
Yeah. Well, and I mentioned that I just was looking around, and who knows what the source was, but I found a note that said 42% of shelter animals who are adopted are returned, and the two of you kind of went, your fortunes are much better than that. I hope that number's inflated somewhere.
Well, it is for us. It is for us because we have a number of programs, like the whole medical workup and making sure that the animal is medically sound. And if there's any behaviors, we make them aware. But also after adoption, we provide post-adoption support. We have a team of volunteers that follows up at day 3, week 3, and month 3 just to see how they're doing. And then Antonio and his team provide a ton of behavioral support to help the animal adjust.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. It could be just, go by, pay a fee, take home the dog, and if there's a problem, you're just kind of left afloat. And you've really almost eradicated that, it sounds like, with several steps to kind of help people through that process, because it can be very new, even if you're a long-time pet owner, but it's been a while or whatever it is, or just a different personality on a pet. There will be challenges that you're not prepared for. Wonderful. Well, I thank you both. And again, we're going to chat a little bit more, and we'll talk a bit more specifically what kind of dog or kitty is good for you. We'll talk about grooming, what to expect when you're expecting. Isn't that a book about having babies? Well, you're having a baby. It's a puppy or a dog or a kitty or whomever you want to welcome into your home, your new best friend. So we'll take we'll say good day for now. We'll come back and do another program with Sara Porter, Director of Operations at Humane Society of Sedona, and Antonio Lopez, Animal Care Supervisor. We appreciate the work you do, and we appreciate you sharing time with us. It's Countywide, and we'll see you next time.
This has been Countywide. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday at this time. If you have a topic or guest idea that you'd like to suggest, email us, news@myradioplace.com.